All right. Can you hear me?
I can. Hello, hello.
All right. I'm going to tweak my speakers real quick here. We are live. Gatlin Shadow, let me hear you now.
How about now? Does that work
Oh,
better?
man, that's awesome.
Excellent.
Anders P, hello. Thanks for joining.
Yeah.
Wow, this time I realized last time I left the scrolling banner up the whole time, I think, so I'm gonna shut that off now because we're live. All right. So where were we last time? Uh, we were making our good old hammer time.
So we got our hammer in. We got some animations. We were setting it up so that it would attack.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm going to share my screen. Oh, share audio. All right, and there it is. Look at us. We're in the safety, in the shadows. We lurk in the shadows. So, oh shoot.
Not so
Oh,
safe
that's
now.
right. Remember that. Dude, you are out of control. You are out of control. Why? Why? So crazy. That's just harsh. That's just rude. Who created this? Who created this? All right. So, we are today we're going to be exploring particle effects. So, uh, Gatlin, I thought you're a master of particle effects as well. So if you end up kind of following along and making something, we could switch the screen share
Yeah, yeah.
to show whatever you're working on. So I encourage you to kind of mess around with that. Um, so okay, everyone, we are going to go to um, Snowstorm blockbench.net. La la la. Okay, and so that kind of forwards us to Yanis's GitHub.io where this is plugged in. The other cool thing that I'm going to show you is that in Visual Studio Code, you can install an extension here. So, you know what? Before I go any further, I'm just gonna we I'm sending out a tweet about the live stream right now.
Keep it going. Keep it going. So I can talk about this. So one of the things
Yeah.
that I really enjoy about Snowstorm is that it's particles, just in general, and particles are just a blast to play with. No pun intended. And I played with particles in quite a few different programs, Snowstorm and Unreal being the two most recent, and a little bit inside of Maya. Actually, we were playing a little bit with that in last term when I was playing with my students, doing some fun things there. And Snowstorm is great because it's very simple and it's still incredibly powerful. Any particle system is just absolutely just a blast to play with. Like they're just super silly, and you can once you kind of wrap your head around the way that they think, these possibilities just start to open up and do these really, really wild things. There was the last really cool particle thing that I had seen actually done in Snowstorm were letters using curves, and it was super cool. I wonder if I could actually find that file. Maybe I'll dig for that file and see if I can find it because I was shocked. I was like, oh, you can do that's a thing. That's a possibility.
Yeah, the one thing I like, and I should show I'll show some examples too, but um, I like using some transparency, like some of the clouds that I've created in some of my latest maps. Like that. I'm sending that out. Do okay, done. Just want to get that tweet out the door. So let me see if I can. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to get this extension put in. So if you go into extensions and then type Snowstorm, and we head back over to comments. Thank you. Ooh, that's cool. All right. So we've got Blockbench, and you could click install to install the Snowstorm plugin. Looks like I must have uninstalled it at some point. So it's installed. And so now the cool thing here is if I go to a file, well, let's do a save as, and then I can go to our projects. If you remember, we're doing all of this in development packs. And so particle effects are going to go inside of your resource pack. And I think, is Frankenpack the one or the template one? I think the template one is .bat. That's crazy. We'll do star.star here. Give me all files. There we go.
Hey,
Okay,
Sergey.
what's going on? All right, so we are working on particle effects here. So I'm going to create a folder. I think it'll be called particles. So I'm going to do a new folder called particles. And we're going to go in here and we're going to say smash.particle.json.
Nope, Sergey, we just started. You're right on time, my friend.
Yes, you missed nothing. All right. So did I say? I must have saved that wrong. The extension. If you save the file .particle.json, let's try to restart Visual Studio Code. Yeah, smash.particle. Interesting. Snowstorm is enabled. That's too bad. A custom editor. Bedrock particles. Smash.particle.json. All right. I don't know why that's not working. Normally, it will bring up the Snowstorm editor right inside of your Visual Studio Code. So you can actually, instead of looking at the JSON code directly, it'll bring up the interface for Snowstorm first. So with that not working, we will, at the moment, I'll figure that out later, but we'll have Snowstorm on the website as our place to go. And so we'll call this Cleverlike : smash, give our namespace. And so particle effects have, first of all, it has the emitter, like the source of where it comes from, and then that emitter will generate particles. And so you might have one emitter, and that has rules as to how many particles can be seen at any given time, how many particles are kind of released all at once. You can specify the movement, direction, color. You can specify drag, motion. So you can create, if you start from something like, so what I want to do, Gatlin, is, and this is something you could work on as well, but I'm thinking of like when the hammer hits the ground, like there's going to be a dust cloud, right? And so I'm thinking I'm going to have one emitter. I'm going to attach it to the head of the hammer in the model, so you can actually put a handle for where your particle effects are being generated. And so that emitter will be right at the head of the hammer. And then what we'll have to do is figure out how to time it so that when it reaches that part of the animation, that emitter instantly poofs out some clouds. And I'm thinking maybe they start small, they shoot out quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they shoot out quickly at first, and then they go slower and they get bigger and disappear. So that's kind of what I'm imagining, is like from a central point, a bunch of small cloud images go poofing out or getting bigger and dissipating. So once you understand those mechanics of random movement outward on the horizontal planes, and then We want to be able to change the size of the actual PNG image that's used as each individual particle, and then maybe randomize the amount of time that each particle lives, so that they'll kind of fade away, instead of it being all at once, which would look kind of weird, probably less like a smoke cloud. Okay, so so having an idea like helps, because then you could at least know what things you need to tweak. If you want to mess around and just make stuff up as you go inside of this thing, it's also a lot of fun. Like, you can surprise yourself with just coming up with random stuff. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Photoshop and make a quick particle. Now there's like a particles .png that has like it's like the atlas of particle effects that the game uses, and you could kind of figure out which one you want to use. Amazon might be here, delivery. So you could figure out which particle you want to use from the standard Minecraft particles. What I'm going to do is kind of create my own. So I'm going to say File, New, and I'll make it small. Let's say I'm thinking of 32 by 32 or 64 by 64. So I think maybe I'll do 64 by 64. And create. Okay, so here's my image. I'm going to kind of zoom in on it a little bit. So I'm going to remove the background so I get a transparent background. Oh, and unlock it. I like to remove it one of these days. Maybe not. Now I remove it. You have to have a layer. Okay, and so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my I'm just going to grab my brush tool. It's a decent size, and I'm going to use some whites and some gray, some whites and grays on here. So it's going to be hard to see. So what I'm going to do is in the background, I'm going to fill this in with black so that we can notice the difference. Okay, it's black, completely filled in. And so now I'm going to switch to white, get my paintbrush. And what I like to do is change the opacity. So it's really nice for kind of giving the hint of color without going overboard. So let's see what 10% looks like. Barely noticeable. Can you even see that? Yeah, there. Okay, I think that's pretty good. I'm actually going to lower the opacity a little further to 5, or make it 5. Okay, and I'm going to make the size a little bigger as well. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to make a fluffy white. So use particles, choose something there. How high quality can you make particles? Yeah, so particles, like, I'm going to be creating a lot of particles at once. So the resolution, Tergay's asking resolution. So obviously, these are images, and they're going to cost memory and resources. So some of my particles, like if these are partially transparent as well, that's going to be a doozy as well, because it's going to have to render lighting and stuff like that. So this might not be the most efficient way to do it, but it's a fun way. But yeah, you do have to consider like how big your particles are, how many you're going to emit,
mm-hmm.
and then also the lighting effect that they're going to require. So
yeah, and particles, the textures on them are typically really small. As you noticed, Sergey, the particles.png is just a 128 by 128. You often don't need anything bigger than that. Even in the Unreal Engine, I rarely ever see anything bigger than, 128 is huge. Like, it's a beast. Like that you really don't need too much. Like if you hit 256 and 512, like you're just wasting a lot of energy and space when it comes to the rendering power of it. So yeah, keeping it small is definitely the best way to go.
Yeah. Good advice.
I think the only exception to that would be things like a flipbook, where you have to do a bunch of actual parts of it. So if you had, if you ended up getting up to a 128, I mean, you're talking lots and lots and lots of images. I can do a bit of research actually while we're kind of sitting here. I'll see what they're doing on that end.
Okay. So what I'm doing is I laid down a white perimeter, making sure not to touch any of the edges because I don't want to have a line, like a hard edge to my particle effect. And I did some white around the outside, and then I started increasing the gray color a little bit each time, and then I might even lower the transparency for the darker gray even a little further and drop that in there. All right, so it doesn't look like much if we hide this layer. Gosh, you can't even see it, but we'll trust that it's there. So I'm going to say particle, and I like to do the legacy export, save for web. You can kind of see it there in the JPEG with the white background. I'm going to PNG 24, make sure I get a transparent PNG out of this, save. And then what I'm going to do is go to, oh, there's Race Car Drivers, our new skin pack that came out on Tuesday, which is amazing. It's got some really good skins in it. Check it out. What is the thing that I am going to my development resource pack, template, and textures. And I think we have to make sure to get this name right. I'm going to call it particles, but we'll have to make sure that this is the correct folder name. I know in the past we've messed that up. It's always one letter. It's always one letter. Smash.png. Okay, so I've created a particle that's transparent, and now I could go into the texture tab. So on the left-hand side of Snowstorm is the texture, and then I could choose my file, and then I could go into development resource packs, template, textures, particles, smash. There it is. Okay. So there's my smash particle. It looks pretty cool. The emitter life is currently looping. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it to be once. So we're going to have to click play every time we do that. And the active time, especially like if it was looping, like the active time would be like how long is it going? But we're going to just do it all at once, basically. So that's important to go back up to the rate. Since we're doing this at a moment in time, the rate is 1 with a maximum of 100. Since we're doing this instantly, we want them like the rate to be like how many come out at once. So let's set the rate to 100, and we could leave the max at 100 as well. And so now we pick our shape, which could be a point. It's cool because the shapes are really nice that you can select. A radius of 3 on a circle. You see that it's kind of filling in the radius. There's a box with the size of the box 3 by 3 by 3. So you can set that. It's filling the box. You could select surface only, and it's basically putting the particles on the outer perimeter of the box that it's generated. So if we did 1 by 1 by 1, it's a smaller box, and you could kind of spin around and look at it. So if we turn the surface thing off, then you could see it's not so much on the edges. It's a little more floating in there. It's interesting how, oh, yes, I still set to steady. I need to set that to instant for kind of what I'm going for, which is like, we'll be able to play it. Let's see, once world. Oh, amount 100. Yeah. See how that kind of instant puts 100 particles up instantly. They live for, the emitter lives for 1 second. Looks like the particles are living for about 1 second, and then they die. So we're going through, now we have an instant, 100 particles, I'm going to stick with the point, but I wanted to show you some of these other ones because they're really helpful. One of the cool things you'll see, ooh, disk. The radius of the disk, surface only, if I say 1, that could actually work. So tell me what you think about this, Gatlin. We could, instead of like what I was originally thinking was from this point, pick a random X and Z coordinate, like pick a direction and head that way. But I'm wondering if we just take the disk and make the disk bigger. So if we were to do the size is okay. So you could use variables. You could use some Molang. So let's say the particle lifetime. So as long as the particle is living, the longer it lives, the further out the ring should get. So we want to use the age of the particle to program dynamically the radius. So what we'll, and actually what we could do is maybe do the emitter age. Well, I'm not sure about that. Emitter lifetime is like if you mouse over these things, usually it tells you kind of it gives you the little code for it. Oh, there you go. Specifies the offset. So what about this time? It's not giving me any context. All right. I'll use particle. We'll use the emitter age first. So one of the cool things here under the help is Molang sheet. This shows you some of the variables and functions that you're able to access as code that could dynamically generate a value into your field. So I'm going to use the emitter age, so age of the emitter. Nuclear Emerald, what's up? Thanks for joining. We are creating custom particle effects for our hammer entity, and we're creating like a dust cloud. So for the radius, I've got the emitter age, and if its age is 1 second, that's going to make the radius up to 1, and that's like let's make it times 5. Right. So theoretically, the disk will start at 0 size with all 100 particles, and the radius will get bigger. So let's see if that actually scales the particles with it, or if they all stay centered. They all stayed centered. You know why? Because that's they're instant. If we did steady, oh God, yeah. So if you look at the steady one, you could see what's happening is as the emitter is aging, the size is getting larger. And as those particles are aging, because they only live for about a second, so as they're aging, they're starting to die as it goes out. So it goes out as it's getting older, as the emitter is getting older, and the particles start to die as they get older. I don't really love that. So Snowstorm is a particle effect generator, and it's designed. I don't know if you could use it for anything else, but it's for Minecraft Bedrock custom entities. It's an amazing tool because it's a visual particle effects editor, whereas the first time I had to do particle effects, it was with change a file, rerun the program, test it out, go back, test it out. The trial and error was terrible. So I'm not a fan of this idea. Not a fan of this idea. Would you concur, Gatlin?
I think the disk is messing with us.
Yeah. So the reason they stayed centered is because I had it as instant, and they happened all at once, and that's when the emitter was zero old, and they all ended up in the 0 spot. They didn't have any movement. Particles. The particles are separate from the emitter itself. So when the particle becomes into existence, that particle has motion and direction and size and color and things like that. The emitter also can have a size and direction and other rules. But once that emitter generates the particle is kind of on its own. And so now what we're going to do, it's a particle maker thingy. Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Retro. Like you took the words right out of my mouth. Particle maker thingy. Who doesn't like a thingy? You know, it makes it that much more fun. Okay.
I think I got something over here. I got a thingy.
Oh, sure. Okay, well, share your screen.
Oh yeah, I guess I could do that. Huh? Sorry, my bad.
You should have been on mute explaining it to somebody the whole time.
Doing the thing.
Yeah. Okay.
So Tigray had a good point. I didn't know you could actually do this, but you can actually hit the space bar, get this thing to refresh. This must be a new little feature that I wasn't aware of.
Nice.
So yeah, let's just kind of walk through the pieces that I've got in here. So the name up here at the top is just Snowstorm Smash. Pretty much the same thing Cleverlike was using in there. I do have my rate actually set to instant. The amount is 100. So this is how many particles are actually going to be coming out. I've set my emitter to looping, although I could set it to once. I think that would probably do the same thing. Yeah, I'll do the same thing there. I do have a disk as a shape. This was messing with me for a minute, trying to figure out how to work. Now the radius, this is in Minecraft units. So it's starting really small. See the grid. I'll get a good shot from up above here and hit this a few times. So it's starting pretty small. Good. And the reason it's getting out to that, so it's starting about here-ish, just there, but you can't see it because it's so quick. So it's at 0.25, and then it's going out to this full, one full radius. So I've got a disk. It's starting small there. Underneath my motion, I've got it set it to dynamic. And then I've got my speed set to -10. So what that's doing is it's actually pushing out. I had to kind of flop this once. So I was like, what? Because I just leave it as 10. Oops. And now it's going to do that. Well, look at that. Now it's actually acting funny. All right, so let's set this up to like 20. Let's have some fun with this. I love particles. There we go. Boom, look at that. Starting really small and going out. So before I was actually flipping it the other direction. So I was doing that wrong. Lifetime I've got set to time. And then my max age is 0.1. So this is how long the particle, because this is underneath our particle section here. So underneath particle here, we're actually looking at the lifetime of the particle or particles in this case, and it's being controlled by time, and it's really short. So it's 0.1 seconds. That's what that's actually doing on there. That's nice. So when I hit the space bar, you can see what it's actually doing. It's actually poofing out. Boom, boom, boom. I actually ended up using this particles texture, and I'll leave this on screen for a moment so y'all can get a screenshot of it. But if you set your texture size to 128 by 128, and then your UV start at 32 and 16, that will actually give you right here. And then it'll expand out to this whole area because my UV size is 32 by 32. So if you are using this, this is a quick way to get that specific spot, which is nice. I'm pretty good at this little zoom thing. I'm liking that.
Yeah, your little zoom tool.
So then you see it explodes out like that. There's a few things that I want to try and tweak with it. There's some color and light we can play with. I'm not going to worry about collision, but I also want to make them come up off the surface as opposed to just going straight out. So things to kind of play with there. Did you get all that, Cleverlike?
No.
Hydra, yes, particles are a child of the emitter. Yes, good question.
I'm feverishly working on mine while you're talking. I'm advantage of that. Yeah.
So okay, so I've got this. So it goes out, right? So let's play with this a little bit. I don't need to worry about the shape. Don't need to worry about the emitter rate and time. So we're going to close down the emitter because we've got the emitter doing what we want it to do. So let's start playing with the actual particles. So speed, the motion. Okay, so we've got that set up. That was pretty good. I don't think you need to mess with that anymore. Lifetime, I'm okay with how long it's lasting. And the texture, I'm going to go ahead and close just because I've got all that set up. So the appearance, this is the actual size of the particle. So right now it's a static size. So it's 0.2. So if I set this to 1, this is going to be huge. Blah! blah. So again, these are Minecraft units. So these are pretty good size. So 0.2 actually works pretty well. Boom, boom. I'm okay with that one. Now, as mentioned before, what Cleverlike was saying is if you go here into help and we look at our Molang sheet, we've got all of this good information, which is awesome. So we can do like random sizes, so variables. And if you look here, let's zoom in on this, you can see that we have emitter and we also have particle down here. So we can use these ones up here on the emitter section and then the particles down here on the particle section. This is just a few of the actual pieces you can use. There are lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of other variables you can play with for sure. And then we have our math operations here. So we've got rounding, we've got modularities, sines, cosines, tangents, all kinds of fun things. So, oh, he's even added a few extra. Oh, dice roll. Ooh, look at that. That's some fun stuff. Yeah, I haven't played with this in a while. It's so cool to see when they add things. So my thought is I want to make these, size start small, but I want them to make them become bigger. So that's one thing that I want to do. The other one is if we take our direction, this is set to outwards, so that's good. And our motion, speed, acceleration, we can actually add in an acceleration in a specific direction. So Y is up in this world. So this is X, Y, and Z. So if I set this to like 10, oh, good Lord, I think this is going to be huge, but you're going to do it for me? Good. There we go. Boom. And you can see it moves up. So let's try 50. Look at it dead on from the side. You can see that it actually comes up a little bit. That works pretty good. So let's do like 75. Here we go. So now it's coming up off the ground. Still moving pretty quick. So let's slow it down a little bit. Let's say 15. And particles are all about numbers and fiddling with them until you get exactly what you're looking for. I feel like it's like rendering inside of a computer. It takes hours and you're like, oh, let's tweak one little thing and then double check it and tweak another little thing and then double check it. Okay, so I've got my speed at 15 and this at 60. That's pretty good. Now, I don't know how big the end of that hammer is. So these numbers are probably going to end up changing later, but this will give me something visual here. I'm waiting for the day that I can actually put a model inside of Snowstorm so I can see this.
Blockbench will show your particles now.
That's true. Yeah, we can take it over there and play with it too.
But
so does Blockbench and Visual Studio and Snowstorm all talk to each other? So if you change something in Snowstorm, I'm going to go all the way across. I think you have to save it and then test it.
I haven't messed with that.
Yeah,
but I bet you it does.
Be a thing.
Yeah, he's done some clever things.
Cool. So if we change this to direction, you can see that it's going just straight up, and that's because I've got my acceleration on there. So if I set, an X and a Y and a Z in here, we can kind of fake the acceleration too. So I'm going to leave this as outwards though, because it's giving me more or less what I'm actually looking for. So if we want these to get larger, let's go into our, not the emitter shape, we want the appearance. And we want to change this over time. So let's go into our help. Let's go into our Molang sheet. And particle lifetime right here. So we have a variable particle lifetime. We've also got a particle age too. So this is kind of cool. Let's use the lifetime one. So let's copy that. And if we go into here, we can paste that in there. Ooh, let's give ourselves a little bit more room so we can see this. Hello, Bay. How are you?
Hey.
So particle lifetime. I'm going to have to look back at my old notes. Remember how to write all these things in here.
Oh, this is going to be good. Okay.
I don't think that's going to work. Ah, kind of did. Copy all that. This is where I start playing with numbers.
Yeah.
There we go. The particle lifetime, it's at 1. Okay. So we can also hit down on that.
Yeah, the particle lifetime is interesting.
But essentially, over the lifetime of it, we want it to change from a certain point to another point. So I need to go back and find my old variables in there. So let's do this. Let's copy our snowstorm. And then we'll say, so I just made a new one in here. And then we're going to say file. And what's awesome, so this is cool. If we go to our, excuse me, if we go into our examples, we go into loading, we have this. And check this out. So these particles are starting small and they're getting larger. So let's look at our appearance. So we have our, here we go. This is how we write this in here.
Yeah,
So variable size.
And this particle lifetime is the total, how long it lasts. It's not, it's a static number as age is growing.
So we want to probably do age then, yeah. The way this is set up, so we've got our variable size. Now this has a variable up here, and we haven't actually established any of these yet in ours, so we should be still pretty good to go. So we can take our particle age and run it across there. So let's see what we get there. Yep, it's starting smaller, getting bigger. 5. Boom, look at that. And it starts small. It's really quick. I don't know if it's going to come through in the stream, but it is smaller.
Yeah, that's looking good. That's looking real nice. Let's see. All right. I might have to borrow that from you.
That's fair. But what's cool also, up here in the top right, you have it preview and you have a code. So I just clicked on the code button. Sorry, I did that really fast without explaining it. And this actually shows you all the code that's inside of here. So if we look at this, we can see that there's our number of particles right there. So if we come over here and we look in our, let's get rid of that. Rate. You see that we have our instant right there. There's our instant right there. Let's close that down. And then our number of particles is 100. So if we change this, out and back in before it updates. There we go. And you can see that it's got 200. So now when we hit this, we get twice as many. If you throw a bunch of them at the game, it will start to lag. So be aware of that. At this rate, at 200, I'm not too worried about it. There's that. So yeah, you can kind of break this code down and kind of play with it. You can actually come in here and actually rewrite this. So this is where that plugin that Cleverlike was talking about comes in really handy, because this can be used inside of here, and you can manipulate it here really quickly too, which is awesome.
Yes, sir. Good stuff.
Let's do this. Let's go over to preview. We're going to go to file. And if you say download, this then actually gives you your JSON. So smash particle JSON. And I'm just going to drop this on my desktop. And I'm going to send this to you, Cleverlike. I'm going to use our little Discord here.
Okay, while you're doing that, I'll switch over to kind of where I'm at, and then so kind of what I was looking at was taking that central point and sending things outward from that location. So what I did was kind of on the direction, you could specify outwards, which just kind of makes it go outwards in all directions, or inwards. What I ended up doing is picking direction so that you can specify each X, Y, and Z direction. And so I did a math.random. You can see up here in the top, it shows your code, the full line. So you can see math.random minus 360 to 360. And then for the Y direction, I made ever so small just to see if I can get some randomization on the upward movement. And then same thing on the Z. So the X and the Z are random. And then the motion, I have the speed set at from math.random between 5 and 10. And now these are all, you can see this is in the particle section. So this is for every instance of the particle. So if there's 100 particles, all 100 particles run through this, and they'll all get a different random number, right? The emitter doesn't set all these; these become properties of the particle. So I'm going to get 100. In this case, I have 40. So I'm going to get 40 particles with different random values here. And then I'm also kind of tweaking the acceleration. So linear acceleration applies to particles in blocks per second. So I have that random on the X and Z as well from 5 to 10. So let's see. I don't know. I'm not able to import particles. Doesn't do anything for me. Never tried Visual Studio add-on. Yeah, Tergate, try that Visual Studio Code add-on. I had some trouble with it. The one thing you have to do is the particle name .particle.json. You have to have that naming convention for it to normally work. It wasn't working for me, but I didn't get a chance to troubleshoot it. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at with the lifetime. And then this is what it looks like. I think it's a little slow. Not in love with it. And you could see the edges of the clouds are actually still kind of harsh, and it's still kind of bright. It might look a little better in the Minecraft world. So like even though you can't see anything, what I do in Photoshop is a good tool is to take the eraser and to set the transparency of your eraser. And what I'm going to do is make it bigger since I have the paintbrush kind of like with a gradient radius. So that means the outer parts are going to be even lighter. So I'm going to take it around the outside of this particle, right? And then I'm going to file, export, and we can't see anything, right? Like it's like it stands out so much, and we can't even see it on the screen here. So it's amazing. So we'll save that, replace, and then go into here, and let's try to bring it back in again, see if that works. A little better. All right. So anyway, I'll save this one out as well. I'll download it. And Gatlin, did you send that to me on Discord or email or what?
Discord.
Nice. Cool. All right. So I have my Smash particles. I'm going to take both of those, copy them, and put them into the behavior pack, the development resource pack. Resource pack, template, particles. I'm going to paste it here, smash.particle, place file in the destination, yes. Okay. Not sure which one's which, but let's try to open these in Visual Studio Code real quick now. Yeah. Disable, uninstall. Station, it's enabled properly. Snowstorm Smash. So let's change this one to Smash 2. Smash 2. Save. Okay, so we've got our particle. Where are we at? 45 minutes. All right, so let's get it into the game. We've saved the file in there. And now what we need to do is, so we have the particle namespace is cleverlike.smash and cleverlike.smash2. Now remember, our entity folder holds our table of contents. This is our bill of goods here, right? So we are going to, and Gatlin, I don't know if you can open up your Golem file and just kind of keep me honest on some of this stuff here. So particle effects. is, I believe, the name, without looking it up. And then what we're going to do is we're going to give it our name, smash, and that is Cleverlike :smash. Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing with smash 2. Okay, so now I have basically said that the smash particles are something that exist. And I think given that, let's go into the game. Let's just see if we could summon the particle.
Yeah, we should be able to summon him by now.
You better not let me down, Minecraft. Okay, particle effect string. So Cleverlike :smash at my current location. Okay, that's my dumb one and Gatlin's awesome one. There you go. That's pretty fast. Good. See, it's a process. Iteration is your friend. Iteration is your friend. All right, so the particles exist. We have proven that. There's no hammers ready to kill us. Okay, good. So now what we need to do is attach them. So I'm going to launch Blockbench. Actually, this would be a time for us to kind of mess around with that. See if we can get into. Now I'm going straight into this development pack. I'm doing all my tweaking like kind of live. If you end up doing something like this, you want to make sure you have backups of your files. Like I normally use Dropbox, but I'm modifying stuff like right on my C drive. So you have to make sure to either have something Dropbox, you can set it up to back up other parts of your drive, or you have to manually back stuff up before you ruin it, because you're not going to have archives by default on this stuff. So anyway, note of warning there. We're going to go into resource packs, template, models, entity, dude. There's the dude. All right. And so let's see if I can add a locator in the edit menu and put that up. And whenever you're designing anything in 3D, always look at it in more than one direction, because it can fool you. Like I can be like, yeah, that's perfect, and then you're like, oh, that is pretty close to perfect. It's actually good. I'm guessing for translated part, we need to make a render controller for it, right? Yeah, good question.
We also need to actually load the particle into the resource pack too.
Yeah. Oh, your particle. No, well, you're using particles.json, which is built in, and we don't have to add that because that's a standard one.
Good call.
You're using the standard one, and mine I did add. So, but yeah, like so we do lose the translucent part. So we should kind of look into that as well. Okay, so I'm going to get this locator set. I'm going to change the name to Smash. Cool. Animate. I'm going to right click here, bring up all animators. This is the thing that brings up your timeline. That's our idle animation. Here's our tech. Okay, so let's see. Let's bring up all animators. And I think animate effects. Yeah, particle. Look at this. So freaking cool. Okay, so right here, if I add particle, look at that. Damn. Smash 2. Locator is smash. And that's it. Okay. I don't suspect that's going to work like that, but we're going, feeling good about this here. So I'm going to export the geometry. I suppose I could just do save. Let's see if save, yeah, I don't want to really save the project. Save model, there we go. Okay, so the model is saved. Now we can go into the animation and then save all animations. So that's cool. Should we go check it out? Yeah, you know,
Hammer is looking a little thick. Yes.
it's looking a little thick. Sadly, I didn't focus on the aesthetics there, and maybe a regrettable move, but that's the bet I made there. So we're gonna have to deal with that. Well, let's just see if that's working. We're gonna have to remember, Gatlin, like we're gonna have to create a sacrificial entity instead of us being destroyed all the time. We're gonna have to make cows are always the victim. Summon, dude. Hello. Oh, there it is. Let's see.
Bam.
Actually, like the locator's off. You see, like it's not quite at the right location. It seems to be centered at the feet. So let's go check. Let's go dive into the code and check the location. So kind of did that kind of quickly just to make sure I was doing it right. But we went into Blockbench and we went into the animation tab and I added the locator. Like maybe that has to be inside there. That would, I made sure that it was a child to the base parent. That could have been the problem. I'm going to click Control S to save that. And then what I did was, so first of all, whenever you bring up a timeline of an existing entity that already has animations and stuff, you'll have to right click and then bring up all animators. That'll bring up any of the layers that are keyframed with animation. And then this cool little animate effects allows you to add the sound and particles and also like commands, apparently, scripts and things like that, at keyframes as well. Gosh, so awesome. And then it puts that into the animation. So it's like at the animation, at this point in time, it summons the emitter of the particle at the handle location of the entity at that point, and poof. So we should get that poof at the head of the hammer, which is where the smash locator is. And if you go back to edit, click on smash, you can see that is where the particle effect should come from. It was coming from the feet before, because I think we had it in the wrong location. So let's go just take a quick look at that. Oh, dude, yeah. Better.
So the particle is also set at local space as opposed to world space. So as the hammer is actually turning, that's why we're getting that ring that doesn't go across the ground.
Okay, should we change that?
Yeah, let's go in there and change that one.
Okay. So I'll dive straight into the
That's amazing, Iger says.
Yeah, the Blockbench makes this so much easier and fun too. That's awesome.
And to get the particles to play inside of Blockbench, you do need to add all that stuff to like the whole entity file, and you got to make sure it's all in there and your particles are all set up in there. And
right.
Yeah, otherwise it just it doesn't care.
It is checking the relationship too, like where this is, since it's in our pack that's already ready already. It's looking at like Gatlin was saying, it's looking back at that entity file, it's finding the texture, like, so it's putting all those pieces together because of where that file is located. So if it's not working, you want to check your file locations, make sure that's correct. File names is particles versus particle.
What?
I'm not pointing fingers
I
at
don't-
anybody.
That's weird. Why would you say that?
I'm not pointing fingers. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. Okay, so I'm going to go in and change the particle. You're going to tell me what to change. So I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at emitter local space. Rotation is false, and position, should that be false?
Let me bring it back up over here, because I was double checking inside of Blockbench here.
So what Gatlin is saying that like you can attach. Well, that's the your emitter. Your emitter, if it's attached to the player, will continue to move, right?
Yeah, because it's like rotation and everything goes on there. So local positions. If I turn that, let's see here. So you can actually pull. Oh, that changes the code considerably. Look at that. Okay. Is it pulling the whole? Okay, so right underneath components, so the emitter, or so the Minecraft emitter local space, all the way down through position and rotation, like you can just pull that whole section out of there. Is what it's saying. Do you want to see what this looks like on my end?
This whole guy right here, or wait, hold on, I'm in a file selection. Bear with me one moment, please. Particles, smog. Okay, I just had to open up that. Okay, so you want me to get rid of the entire local space thing?
Yep, you can get rid of that whole thing. Yep.
Is that the only thing?
That should do it.
All right, so I'm going to save that. Oh, shoot. Save that. I'm going back to my UV.
And what's nice inside of Snowstorm, it's literally just a checkbox too. So for those of us that like checkboxes, for those of us that like to miss the checkboxes.
That's right. That's how we learn about these. Okay, so like Turgay was saying, we want to set these particles to be transparent, the ones that need transparency. So I'm kind of going into the smog that I used in for the vehicles in Climate Hero, and you could see basic render parameters is right below identifier, and it has it looks like. And that says particle alpha. So we're going to switch that to particle blend, which is all that we seem to do on the other one. Blend. Save. This one I have to undo because I deleted the local space thing from that. Oh, God. Okay. Hide that. So we're going back into the game. And we're going to sacrifice ourselves to the hammer dude. Oh, great. There's two of them.
Oh, look at that. Still being silly.
Are you seeing because it's on that angle that it's on?
Yeah.
And, all right, main menu. So let's, I want to swap out the, no, smash 2. Let's just make sure we're changing the right ones now that we have. Oh, look there, it's worth that.
Now it's working.
That's, particle 2. I'm an idiot. Why did that even work? Smash 2. Particle. Right. So that's cool. And you could also open the code by clicking open code. And then I'm going to change this to blend. Save that. And then I'll take a quick, we'll take a quick look-see at the animations for Dude. And you can see here the particle effect and then the locator. So I'm just going to switch this to the other one real quick. Put both of them on there, I suppose that'd be interesting. The Wonder Twin powers activate. Wow. Transparency is not working. I'm going to quit the whole game just to be safe with loading textures. Loading textures. Anybody have any questions, comments? We're going to wrap it up soon.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can show off that 128 texture they've actually got in Unreal, so we can kind of talk about that real fast too.
Oh, yep. Boom, you're in.
So, Terry, to answer your question, I believe you were the one asking about this for the 128s. So this is a 128 by 128, like you can see up here, or sorry, 1024 by 1024. My apologies, I could use the right words here. So you can see it's huge. This is a monster thing. This particle is actually 6 across and 6 down. So there are 36 frames in here. So with 36 frames, you kind of need that much space. But if you're using, if you're not doing a flip book, then this is like completely irrelevant. There's no real need to actually kind of push it this far. This is the like super easy particle that's inside of an old Cascade setup. But if you're using Niagara, it's very different. But way cooler. Niagara is amazing, but it uses the same kind of setup. So you can see that it's using that specific texture a couple of times to actually kind of cycle through a couple of different particles. So the way that this is built is that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different emitters that are actually inside of this particle setup, whereas in Snowstorm we've got one emitter and that's all that we can play with. So like I said, Snowstorm is great because it's a little bit simpler and it really kind of ramps you up into getting used to something that's quite a bit more complicated. So yeah, you can use bigger textures, but it's really only needed for something like a flipbook. That's what it is.
Nice. Nice. All right, so I don't know. Check and see if there's any. Yeah, see, look at Gatlin. He's like, "Give me an Unreal Engine."
Let me play in
Yeah,
there.
me an Unreal Engine. Oh man, like yeah, it's nice making the connection between the two because you've got your Minecraft world and how the tools exist in that, and then you have your your Fortnite world and other other 3D interactive games. You can see how those pieces work, and Gatlin is our expert on those things as well as our expert on these things. I'm just some dude scrambling around trying to figure it out. No, we're a good team.
We're both kind of scrambling.
Yeah.
When we start a new project, we're like, oh, so we don't know any of this stuff. All right, let's see if we can pull anything from the previous one. Game design. That's what it is.
You gotta be willing to get in there and figure it out. Make some mistakes along the way. That's where all the fun stuff comes from.
95% troubleshooting, 4% hoping, and 1% shipping.
The shipping part, man, that's always the struggle. Always the struggle. Cool. All right, cool. I think this is a good time to kind of just see if we have any last minute questions. But I feel like we've shown at least the cycle of creating an entity. I've hopefully introduced you to Snowstorm so you could start experimenting with your own particle effects and then get them into the game. At the very least, get them in the game so you could summon them. And then I guess I'll switch to you're done sharing, right?
I'm good.
Yeah. So get them into your entity file so you can at least summon them into the game using the /particle command, but none of them related to particles. We're gonna have to do random Q&A time, like unrelated Q&A for those who stuck around to the end. That's the bonus, Tergay. So yeah, we can probably do that. So let me finish this thought. So get your particles in to your entity file, summon them, make sure you could, or not, yeah, get them into the game, give them a name, summon them, then attach them using a locator to your entity. Using the animation window, you can specify where that locator works with that animation, with that particle effect, and then go in the game and have that work. We didn't have to get into animation controllers at all in this one.
Didn't need to.
Didn't need to. That's so cool. So what's fun about this is the animation controller, the animation, and the particle all can have programmable attributes. And they can be you can affect the way the particle works through each of those in different ways. And so the more experience you get with this and the more you want to do something different, you can start look at using your coding and skills to get into that other ways of customizing. And we can get into that. But now it's time for random question of the day.
What do you got,
Turgay.
Turgay? Hit us.
Turgay, send it to us. Patching them through. Caller number 5. Possibilities to combine them are infinite. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, I love particles. I love playing with them. I need to dig further into the Niagara ones because holy moly, I've seen some cool stuff.
Yeah. So like one idea would be like you could have the entity always have a particle effect when it's a baby, and when it's an adult, you could have that particle effect shut off because it's an adult. And you can use isBaby as a switch as to whether or not the emitter is on or off. That would be one idea. So you can use that Molang programming. So in the bedrock.dev, there's links to a lot of the Molang attributes and components you can look at. So, Turgay, your time is ticking. Time is ticking. Me too, but only when it works. Yeah.
Wait for it.
There. He remodeled his skin geometry by updating the files in Minecraft. How small? Yeah. So here's the thing. The smallest you can make a cube is one block. Not one Minecraft block, but one pixel. You can't really make it sub 1 pixel. You could make it 1.2, but you can't make it less than 1.
Mm-hmm.
The trick, however, is to make it 1 and set the inflate value to a minus, which will take that cube and shrink it. So it's still 1, but it's been scaled kind of separately, independently. So you can't really go below 1, but you can make it smaller than 1 by using the inflate, which would be the 4th attribute.
Mm-hmm. And that's all inside Blockbench.
Inside Blockbench, edit. I pick this leg here as the size. You can see the size has 4 elements. So
we can see your screen. Hold on.
Oh, darn. So you could see here, bam, that you have inflate as your 4th thing in the size. And so if I have the left leg selected, -1 is a little too much, so minus 0.5. You can see that this leg, tiny little baby leg. So I was able to take that leg and make it smaller using inflate. So I believe that would be, oh shoot. Don't inflate it at all, man. I blew up my leg. Okay, and then so see if that works for you, Turgay.
It's kind of a hacky way to make it happen. So Ider's asking, is it possible to assign 2 or more particles to the same entity? Maybe assigning one to a different locator. And the answer is yes and yes. You can assign locate. So there's no limitation because you can add numbers of locators. And then each locator at a certain time, you can say, oh, fire such and such a particle. We've got a project that we've been working on for a while that's actually got that in it. And it's pretty cool. Like it's a lot of fun to kind of get a couple I've not done more than 2 because I haven't needed more than that. But yeah, you can be like, oh, let's have, particles, coming out their ears, and then, some of them coming out of their eyes. Like you could have 4 different locators with, 2 different kinds of particles if you needed to, or have 4 locators with 4 particles. Those locators are really where that particle is coming from, and then how you fire it. Is it a time-based thing? Is it a condition? Yeah. So yes, and yes.
Definitely can have a lot going on. Sergey, anything else? Anyone else? We got 7 people still hanging out here.
Yeah, definitely.
Hanging out for the bonus Q&A round, rapid fire.
Yeah, exactly. You could layer particles together, Iger. Yeah. So you could fake it having multiple emitters. I don't know how expensive it is. I haven't tried that. I haven't gone, like I said, I haven't gone past 2, so I don't know how expensive it's going to be and if we're going to get major lag. But it's something that I definitely want to sit and play with for sure. It was very Pink Floyd. I agree. That hammer is very Pink Floyd.
Great. I accept.
Let me show you around. Come this way.
Oh, we can hear you. We can hear the guy asking questions.
Okay, good. That's fun.
Cleverlike setting something up here, so you'll have a chance to kind of see some fun things. Maybe.
Yeah, that's cool that it shows.
Here we go.
Yeah, so this truck here, you can see the exhaust polluting vehicles in Climate Hero. And you can see how the particles are dying at different times. You see how they're transparent.
Mm-hmm.
You see how we're about to hop in a police car and bust that boy.
Let's go up around the corner.
Oh yeah, we got a car. We're in pursuit. So there's a polluting car. You hop in the police car. Yeah, and then it switches to a more clean exhaust. And if I drive into it, let's see if I can kind of lag the computer out. Like if you get into the particle effect, it gets a little laggy, a little too much work if you're actually right in the middle of it. But if you're looking at it from a distance, it's actually fine. So that's a cool particle effect. It's not the multiple particle effects like you guys were talking about, but the cool thing too is the behavior that's used there for it to detect that you're in the police car. Like I can look at this car, you're looking at the truck and it didn't bust it, but you can only bust them when you're in the police car. So that's a cool behavior. And then these smoggers are driving around. Cool. But Climate Hero is in the marketplace. It's fun. Okay, I made a Z particle that emits from entity head to simulate sleep. Oh, that's cute. Yeah, after the game has been running for a bit, the Z's started to stream together into a solid line. You need to make sure to set your particle age on that one, right? So back to this. Let's see if this is it doesn't open up. Why is that so buggy? Oh, because I had okay.
Turkey, we don't know if we're gonna. I mean, I don't see a reason why we wouldn't release the hammer guy.
Oh yeah.
He was asking if we should give it out there so we can give it a go. I mean, it's beautiful art. We'll send it out in the wild. Why not?
Yeah, I might have to hire a pro to. If only I knew a really great, amazing texture artist.
If only we knew somebody. Not pointing fingers or anything.
He's on this. He's in there somewhere. Yeah, we have an amazing team. So that's why we started to turn that into a project.
We're not talking about me, by the way. That's not what we're talking about, actually.
That's right. We have somebody in the chat. So that is particle lifetime? Yes. Particle lifetime.
Yeah, because you want the particles to die after a certain amount of time.
Yeah. Particle
Start closing them down, makes it
lifetime.
easier.
Yeah, particle lifetime.
There you go.
And if they're just living on too long, then that's why it's going to start to appear solid, because you have them randomly showing up.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I've had trouble with is kind of like the billboard and the rotation. Like, so if you want the particle to be fixed on a plane and not be rotated, because by default it's gonna rotate, so the viewer can see it from any angle. But if you want it to lock at a certain angle, you have to adjust some billboard settings to make that happen. And I think that's also like your local space issue. All right, Piffle thank you for joining us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you.
We got more people joining. I mean, we're trying to end this thing already. So make sure you guys watch from the beginning. I think this was a pretty nice overview of particle effects, creating them in Minecraft, getting them into the game, getting them into your custom entity. We're trying to help people create custom things inside of Minecraft. All right. Well, guys, I think we are going to have to wrap it up. Next time, I think next time we should do a sound effect. And I am literally going to open Audition and come up with a smashing sound effect for this dude here, so that we can add that to the piece and maybe refine the particle. What do you think, Gatlin?
I'm down. I can dig it.
You dig that?
Yeah.
And maybe our sound person wants to give us one, so that we have a working backup in case the Adobe Audition process is a flop. All right, cool. Thanks. We'll see you guys on most likely at this point, because we're so busy. It'll be next Friday, same time. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you then. Gatlin, thanks for your help today, bud.
Absolutely. Adios, y'all.
All right.